Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Macon-Bibb County Pre-Commission meeting, acting as a committee of the whole. Today is Tuesday, April the 5th, 2022, and the time is now 4:15. We do apologize for being a little late today due to weather conditions. It was important to make sure we had a quorum here, and for a while we were sheltering in place. While we're on that topic, I would like to remind everyone, if you need to report damages like downed power lines and trees in the road, please contact EMA at 1-833-535-4362 so they can dispatch the appropriate response crews. For emergencies, you can always call 911. Make sure you're signed up for the Macon-Bibb County Alert by going to www.maconbibb.us/MBC Alert. Again, that's www.maconbibb.us/MBC Alert. We would like to welcome everyone here today. We do have one commissioner who is participating over the telephone, Mr. Paul Bronson. And we're going to go ahead and begin our meeting with the approval of the minutes. We do have the minutes from the pre-commission acting as a committee of the whole for March the 15th, 2022. And can I get a motion for approval? A motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clark, second by Commissioner Bronson. Any discussion regarding those minutes? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. We're going to do things a little differently tonight. We are pleased to welcome our sheriff back today. Sheriff David Davis, thank you for being here today. I want you to know that we've all been praying for your recovery. It's good to see you at our meeting today, and we have a couple items on the agenda. With the permission of the commissioners, I'd like to take items 9A and 12A out of place to accommodate the sheriff. So we're going to begin with item 9A. Item 9A is an ordinance to amend the Macon-Bibb County organization chart by transferring the E911 department under the control of the Bibb County Sheriff Office. To transfer control of the Macon-Bibb County E911 department to the Bibb County Sheriff's Office. As many of you know, before consolidation, it was handled not by Macon-Bibb County, but was handled by the Macon Police Department. Since the consolidation, it's been under the control of Macon-Bibb County. At this time, it's our request, and we've been doing that for a couple of weeks, moved it over to the Sheriff's Department. We help streamline some things. The sheriff needs this particular ordinance to be accomplished to make sure that the state goes under his ORI number, which is very important for us to do that. He believes it's being more efficiently, and so far has worked out well. So at this time, I entertain a motion to approve. Got a motion by Commissioner Wilder. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Howell. Any discussions regarding that item? We do have our County Manager, Keith Moffitt, here tonight, as well as the Sheriff to answer any questions concerning that matter. Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda tonight. The next item that we're moving to is item 12A. Item 12A is an ordinance to authorize a supplemental appropriations from the general fund balance to the Sheriff's Office Animal Welfare Budget, salaries and benefits component in the total amount of $37,500 in order to fund one veterinarian and one veterinarian technician position for the remainder of fiscal 2022. Keep in mind, this is just only for a few months. We want to go ahead and post that out there to see what type of response we get, and we'll look forward to putting that in the budget again for the entire year. Of course, the amount would change. Commissioner Lucas, did you have a question in that regard?
Yeah, I was wondering why that amount, why such a low amount. You've answered my question, and I fully support going to a full-time vet, because I don't know how they've operated in the way that they have in the past. So
yeah, I think they've done it on a contract basis, but it has been difficult, and I understand that the person handling that contract is no longer available to do so. Commissioner Wynn, do you have a follow-up question?
Well, that was similar to Commissioner Lucas. I just wanted to know about the amount, but that's just a temporary amount.
That amount
not
is
a salary for the
no,
vet and the assistant.
That's April, May, and June, theoretically prorated over a 12-month period of time just for these 3 months until we start our new budget cycle.
Those two people, a vet
That's
and
correct.
an assistant.
We're talking about 3 months, but it's also going to take about at least a month to get everything out there and get someone possibly selected. We've been working in conjunction with the Sheriff's Department for the last month on this, and we understand there's going to be a request for his office for an appropriation for next year. We just want to see what type of talent we get and the approximate price we'd have to pay to get an idea.
I also want a co-sponsor, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Wynn. Okay, at this time, I entertain a motion for approval. Got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clark, a second by Commissioner Wynn. Any further questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously to be sent to consent agenda tonight. Thank you, Sheriff, for being here tonight. We appreciate you, and we'll continue to put you in our thoughts and prayers.
I just want to say thank you, Commissioners, for these two, and we make the both the animal shelter and 911 run a little bit more efficiently for the citizens that we serve. And it's good to be back, although I'm not back 100%. As I say, I'm not out of the woods yet, but I can see the clearing. But I sure appreciate everybody's thoughts and prayers and the cards and the calls and everything. So we back in the saddle, and thank y'all very much, and God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'm not aware of any other announcements for pre-commission, but we have new alcohol beverage licenses. We have several of those. Mr. Frank Howard is a proud father of a new baby, so he is not here tonight. We can't wait to see him, but we're going to have someone step in his place, Miss Adriana Beavers, to answer any questions you may have. All this information was previously provided in your packet on each and every one of these issues, and it's included on your agenda for reference. The first one is the new alcohol beverage license from Macon-Bibb Company located at 345 Oglethorpe Street. Many of you may be familiar with that area as that. The reason this is on our agenda is they missed the timeline of which to file their, since we changed the timeline for these types of licenses in a previous ordinance. They missed that timeline, so this is them filing that timeline. They are able to do this. This is not a liquor store with no moratorium in place. Therefore, it's different from the other one that we had. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion for approval of item A. Got a motion by Commissioner Wynn. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Wilder. Any questions for our attorney regarding this particular item? Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously to be sent to consent agenda. A companion item is item B, which is a new alcohol beverage license from Macon-Bibb Company located at 458 2nd Street, Macon, Georgia. That is under the same reasons. As you can look on there, this is a brew pub, met all the measurements, the newspaper zoning requirements, limited liability owner, and the security cameras, as well as the lease has been taken care of. So I'd entertain a motion for approval of this particular venue as well. A motion by Commissioner Wynn, got a second by Commissioner Bronson. Any further questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously to be sent to consent agenda. Item C is a new alcohol beverage license for AK Express located at 1091 Clinton Road, Macon, Georgia. You can see a picture on your screen there of that location. That's my motion. Can I get a second? Got a second by Commissioner Lucas. Ms. Beavers, can you give us some information on this?
This is a alcohol beverage license, malt alcohol and wine package to go, as well as a temporary alcohol license for AK Express located at 1091 Clinton Road. If you've reviewed the public record or tax maps, you'll see that 1091 is not the location that's listed. It's just colloquially known in the community as 1091. On the tax assessor's website, it can be found at 1111 Clinton Road. This was inspected, but this has been inspected for security cameras, and it's just a renewal from another missed deadline.
Thank you, Ms. Beavers. Any other questions for our attorney? Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item D is a new alcohol beverage license for Coliseum Foods, LLC, DBA Quick Mart, located at 385 Coliseum Drive, Macon, Georgia. The recommendation from our legal is for approval. We've also attached all the information that you need to make a decision below there, as well as included in your packets. At this time, I'd entertain a motion for approval. Got a motion by Commissioner Howard. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Wilder. Commissioner Wynn, you have a question.
Are these all new? These ones we're saying are new, or are they just renewals? Are they all new, brand new?
From my understanding, this Coliseum Foods application is actually a new business.
Okay.
So that is someone coming in. I believe it may be a new gas station location as well, completely new. But the three prior items, that we changed the application deadline with an ordinance change back in October. So removed the grace period for these businesses. So now any renewal after December 31st must be dealt with as a new alcohol license
Thank you. I
application.
we had asked this before about if we could differentiate between whether it's new or renewal or replacement or when ownership changes, but it already been selling alcohol. I wish we could still do that somehow
Yes,
in the
ma'am.
future.
Yeah,
Thank you.
this is a new station directly across from Marriott.
Yeah, I
if
know
I'm not
where it
mistaken.
is.
Okay. Appreciate that comment. Commissioner Lucas?
Yeah, just for information, this particular one has been out there a while. They initially wanted to have an exit onto Church Street, which is right behind, but there's a church and a fairly compact residential area right behind it. So I think the neighbors were concerned and they disapproved that, but then they've come back and everything in and out is on Coliseum. And I wanted to ask if the speed limit is 25 in there. Does anybody know?
If it's considered residential, the speed limit behind there is 25, but directly in front of the Coliseum is not 25. That's a state road, by the way, as well. We don't control that.
Yeah, okay. So it has to be like 35 probably. It really should be 25 given all of the stuff that's in there. The hotel, you've got the Coliseum parking that's exiting onto Coliseum. You've got now this service station, you've got the fire station, you've got a nursing home, Regency, all of that in there. So it just seems to me that we should have the lowest possible speed limit for safety in there, and the traffic lights are very, very close together. So maybe that will suffice. But I just think we need to watch that one.
I think with the 3 traffic lights we have there and probably a 4th as you get on the interstate, once that gets completed, is probably why they have that speed limit there. Appreciate the responses. We do have a motion and second. Any further question regarding this item? Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item E is a new alcohol beverage license for El Parigio Bar and Grill located at 2822 Bloomfield Drive. We previously removed this item from the agenda based on some information we needed regarding cameras. Since that time, we have received the paperwork on this particular location showing that the cameras met the guidelines that you had in your new ordinance you passed last year. So this time it's recommended for approval of that item. Thank you. That is my motion. Can I get a second? Got a second by Commissioner Howell. Any questions regarding this item? This is the old Quincy locations, that's how I refer to it, next to the CVS there on Bloomfield Drive. We have a motion and a second. If there's no further questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously to be sent to consent agenda. Item 4, let me see who we got here. She's here? Okay. Is a resolution to appoint Tracy Rivas, Ethiel Garlington, and Moises Velez Saiz to serve as members of the Bicentennial Committee. We have previously done about 22. This makes us 25, which is the suggested number that we have in this bicentennial. Of course, we could possibly add those in the future. They're getting ready to meet. And we have those 3 people. If you don't mind, all 3 of you, if you'll just stand up so we can recognize you. I think most of you are familiar with each of these folks. And perhaps a couple of you may want to say something in regard to them. So at this time, we'll take any comments or concerns or any motions. Yeah. Got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Can we get a second? Second by Commissioner Wilder. And Mayor Pro Tem Clark, you have some questions.
Yeah, I don't want to get out in front of Ethiel and Moses, but I do. We have Tracy is another, the third name on the appointment list that we might not all be familiar with. She's a new resident to Macon, but we sent her resume out, and I think it speaks for why she should serve on this bicentennial committee. She is the Director of Advocacy of the Okmulgee National Park and Preserve Initiative. She has a very long legal career of being a fierce advocate in Indian country for sovereignty and for rights out in Oklahoma. She served as the top cabinet official in the 4th largest tribe in the country and was the first woman to hold that post in the history of the Muskogee Creek Nation. She moved to help us shepherd the park status from National Historical Park to National Park and Preserve through working through Congress and working in the community advocating for that. And she has done a wonderful job at making sure that the voices of the ancestors and descendants of the land, of the sacred sites that do make up those mounds, are included in that process. And so she, being a legal expert and being such a good attorney specializing in Indian law, has been invaluable in the process of setting up co-management and creating a Muskogee Creek Cultural Center here in Macon-Bibb County around Fort Hawkins, where we were just discussing. But I just wanted to introduce Tracy to this commission and to the folks here tonight, and it's just an honor to serve with Tracy at the Okmulgee National Park and Preserve Initiative. And welcome to Macon, and I hope y'all consider her appointment.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Any further discussions or questions? We do have a motion and a second for all three of these to be appointed to the Bicentennial Committee. I ask for all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Will be sent to consent agenda tonight. Thank you very much for being there, and we'll hope to finalize that at our 6 o'clock meeting. We're going to move on to item 5, which is streetlight petitions. Item 5A is a resolution approving a petition for the installation of 3 streetlights, and you can see the road there, on Farwell Street pursuant to Article 10 of Chapter 29 of the Code to be paid for from Facilities Management Budget Services to Government electricity line item. That's my motion. Can I get a second? Got a second by Commissioner Howell, and we have a question by Commissioner Watkins.
In full favor of this action, but just some questions on how things work. I know sometimes I can come with, I guess, some ideas that are a bit too ambitious, and it causes. So I understand, like, this is the process for 2 or 3 street lights, but I guess question I've had for like a community, let's say like Unionville, if the goal is to double the amount of street lights or greatly increase the number, like, and I've already talked to the engineering department, and they just kind of hesitating because I guess it's an expense. But how do I facilitate that? From a safety standpoint, I'm certain that the area is too dark.
Well, several times I've repeatedly sent y'all the streetlight process. One, it starts with the petition from the community to do the assessment per pole. The community would get the petition. They would submit that to facilities. Facilities would submit that to,
And
George, probably it's $100 for the assessment to make sure that the infrastructure is there. If the infrastructure is not there, then they work with the community to get it put in there.
so I guess, and I'm familiar with that process and been back and forth with that with different members. And again, it's $100 fee, and oftentimes the result has been one light for one individual who then needs to pay $8 a month for that service to continue between Georgia Power. And again, that's prohibited. I see you shaking your head, so help me out.
Because once it's approved and put up, then the county pays the electric bill for it.
Okay, but and still, I've seen it'll stop with one light. I'm talking about, again, just in general, if you're riding down Montpelier or Pansy Avenue, it is extremely too dark.
You're right, because it's normally one application per one light.
Right.
So,
And I guess, like, and my question, how can we get it so we can all agree that that area is too dark and we want it to be better lit? Can we empower, or how do I empower you to add, I don't know, just a shoot number is a mile, 50 more lights?
the community requested, and we found that while some feel like they want more lights, we found that some in the community don't want a light right there in front of their driveway, or so that's why we have to have the community input to do that. That's why it's one application per light.
So how about this? Okay, all right. So right, I'm part of the community. I've attended meetings. They have verbally asked their commissioner and their servants to add more lights to the area. And again, they're not asking for one light. And again, their petitions on file, and they've received a light here or there over the years. But and again, a lot of people stop because someone needs to pay the $100, so
Correct.
they stop and just stop the process right there for us a lot of times.
I will agree that that was part of the combination of the process when it was prior city, prior county, and that was the process that we have today is what was adopted when we consolidated.
Okay, so right, I'm a policymaker. We're policymakers. So somewhere in the policy is stating what you are saying,
Correct.
and we have the power to change that.
You have that policy, yes. I've sent it out, yes.
Okay, so yeah, let me get a copy so I can work on some amendments then.
Okay, I'll forward it back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Watkins. Any other questions? We do have a motion and a second. If there's no further questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item B is a similar resolution regarding street light. A resolution approving a petition for the installation of 2 street lights at Pearl Drive pursuant to Article 10, Chapter 29 of the Code to be paid from the Facilities Management Budget Services Agreement Electricity line item. As my motion, can I get a second? Got a second by Commissioner Wynn. Any questions regarding that item, Commissioner Lucas?
Yeah, I want to join with Commissioner Watkins on looking at a way of ensuring that all of Macon has sufficient lighting. That's and I was real pleased that Mayor, in your budget you included pedestrian safety, and that lighting is a big part of pedestrian safety. Just like what we passed not too long ago, Irene's Law, where we were pushing for additional sidewalks and street and lighting to start in the area where the Stubbs was run over and was killed. And so I think that there needs to be a way, and I do remember when you could ask a department, the facilities, to go or a traffic engineer to ride through, and they would have to go at night and kind of assess and evaluate the area and determine if there was a need for additional lights. And so what I'm hearing is that there's no such process in place now. It's just what you described, where you a neighborhood petitions for it, which continues the inequality in neighborhoods, safety in neighborhoods. So I think that's something that we need to look at and see if some of the designated funding, Mayor, that you put in your budget could go toward a plan where all areas are assessed to make sure that there's adequate lighting, because everybody cannot afford, believe it or not, everybody cannot afford the $100. And then a lot of people, as you said, Mr. Moffitt, that $100 stops a lot of people. So we want sufficient lighting. It's not just about that particular person. It's about safety traveling through that neighborhood as well.
Thank you,
So-
Commissioner Lucas. I appreciate the comment. Certainly, we are approaching budget season. I have some expectations to include some additional funds in there, partly because of this, but partly because I think it fits well with the MVP program. I think the more light we have in some of these neighborhoods, particularly neighborhoods that have high crime areas, it may help prevent some of that. Of course, some of those areas do have lights, but they have a problem with keeping the lights on because they get shot out or otherwise damaged, and we've looked at several of those as well. The other thing we always have to consider is once you have these lights, it's a permanent funding mechanism, and the county pays for those lights, not the vendors and the citizens there directly. So that's always going to be an increasing expense every year, and we have to consider that in the budget. So I appreciate those comments. You are policymakers, and that's something I think we need to get a copy of the policy, let y'all make proposals on what you like to see, and make sure we put some budgetary restraints on that. Mayor Pro Tem Clark?
Curious to the intent of the original intent of the $100 fee. Does anybody know? I'm new. Since you've been here.
I can have Mr. Riles with Facilities Management give us more insight into that fee, but I believe it goes towards lighting assessments and seeing where lights are most necessary along that petition
Okay.
for path.
I think it's also a buy-in because they want to make sure that they're going to go through the trouble to get the necessary petitions the way it's set up now. and they want some folks to have some skin in the game and not just to have us do an assessment out there and they don't get the necessary signatures, so you don't get the lights. Because believe it or not everybody wants these lights in their neighborhood.
Oh, sure.
Not everybody wants a light outside their house when they're trying to sleep. Believe me, I know, because they called me and told me that. Some people do, and for most of us, we would like that to happen. Those that are on your private, get back to the $8, that's when you have one on your private pole in your private yard. But we don't own the poles. We have to cooperate with Georgia Power and make sure they've got some in that particular area. So that you're a policymaker, so we'll let y'all get busy on doing some policy, and hopefully y'all can get 5 folks to support it.
Yeah, I just want to echo Commissioner Watkins and Commissioner Lucas. I think it's a policy worth revisiting if there's a financial barrier to a petition that would keep folks from being able to apply for it. And if there is a financial barrier, if it needs to be there for some legal reason, in the budget season, I would hope that we would, set aside money, like you said, to knock that barrier down, because it sounds like it gets in the way. I know just personally it feels like it gets in the way. I've heard that before too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Clark. All right, we have a motion and a second. There's no further questions. We'll go ahead and take a vote on this. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Going to move on to contracts for implementation or renewal. We have item 6A is a resolution authorizing the mayor to approve monthly payments to Western Oilfield Supply Company, DBA Rain for Rent, Atlanta, and a total annual amount of $255,000 to be paid from SPLOST funds for the Walker Road landfill closure for the rental of landfill closure supplies and equipment. We have a motion to approve. A motion by Commissioner Jones. We have a second? Second by Commissioner Wynn. Do we have questions? Commissioner Lucas, you look at me like you got a question. So, Dr. Moffitt, you mind standing up, letting them know exactly what this is? As you may recall, we had been using Hofstadter and Associates to work on closing our landfill, and from time to time, we have to bring things back from you that we need to closure the landfill. This money comes out of that pot of money that y'all designated in the previous SPLOST. So I'll let Dr. Moffitt tell you a little bit more about it.
If you recall from our visit to the landfill, going into the landfill, you had those detention ponds, and from there, that water needs to constantly be pumped out. The current pumps we have 4 there. They've reached their end of life. We're going to have to replace those pumps. Part of the replacement will be in the continuation of getting it prepared for the closure. They are about to put the RFP out now to get the contractor to go and close. We'll put the cap on, and part of that will include new pumps because we have to run electrical wires and everything there. But in the meantime, because of EPD standards and can't have that standing water down there all the time, we've had to rent pumps to do that because we're not in a position to buy the pumps and run the electrical until we exactly know how it's going to close. So this would be that amount for it, possibly renting the 4 pumps for the whole year.
Mr. Lucas, you have a follow-up?
Are we still selling the gas?
Yes,
We are.
ma'am.
From
To Cherokee
do
Bridge.
you know right offhand what we get?
It's not
from-
very much.
It's Cherokee
Yes, it's,
that gets it.
It's
Yes.
about $60,000 a year.
and the reason why we know that we just had a meeting with them about the quality of that gas coming out because of where they're pumping it from. So we had a meeting with them about a couple of months ago to talk about that, the purchase of that, because they would like to try to pull more, but because of I forgot how they explained it, but
Well, because you're not continuing, we're closing the landfill, but because you're not continuing to put items in the landfill, you're going
Right.
to decrease the amount that you have there, and the quality is not as good as you like to have it on a regular, consistent basis to do what they need to do with their company there, and they like to put some more valves and units in there, but there are costs to that we're not willing to pay at this time. So we'll continue to monitor that process. Okay, Commissioner Bronson, you have a question?
Yes, sir. This is not really in regards to the landfill directly, and I apologize for that. But more so, where are we at with getting the trash cans out to the Macon Housing Authority? Or have we had any movement on that issue? I know we had different groups that are asking about that. So we'll kind of know where we are with that as well. So in the conversation of trash.
Commissioner Bronson had a question outside this particular item concerning trash cans. I'll ask Dr. Moffitt to address that personally with him, but just in general, we expected about 1,500 new trash cans to be delivered
should be today.
today or tomorrow, and those are already on priority list to go to those. In the meantime, they've had some refurbished cans from another location placed at those sites to allow them to continue to have trash delivery picked up. They just haven't been the bright red ones. So they are one of the first priorities on the new delivery that we expect to get in today or
And
tomorrow.
and it's
Commissioner
my
Brunson.
goal to use the internal crews that we had picking up cans to start delivering cans.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Moffitt. Thank you, Commissioner Bronson. We do have a motion and second regarding item 6A. If there's no further questions, I'm sorry, Commissioner Wynn, you have a question?
Just another question about the pumps. We are replacing the 4 pumps we have? Are we, you said we're leasing them?
Yes, today we're renting pumps, but as we get into the closure, when we finalize the contractor for the RFP for the closure to go in and do the cap and all that, we'll be buying the pumps there because they have to run the electrical to the pump, and we don't know exactly where we're going to be running it to yet.
Will we still use the ones that are in place? Or
No, the ones we're
these will
renting-
replace the ones we have?
No, those cannot be replaced. They are old, end of life.
Kind of like me sometimes, huh?
No, ma'am.
And also, I think this is annualized, is that correct? Yes. This amount is on an annual basis. Hopefully, we don't need that the whole time. We can get through the closing process, but we want to make sure we had enough there for 12 months if
All
necessary.
right. Thank you.
So we do have a motion and second. There's no further questions. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda tonight. Item B is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Wolfport, Inc. in the amount of $428,724.12 for the purchase of ortho-based mapping services and hardware for IT department to be paid from the Capital Improvement Fund, IT department, computers and hardware line item. That's a lot to say. That's my motion. Can I get a second? Got a second by Commissioner Wynn, and we've got our attorney, Ms. Beavers, here to give us a little bit more information on that prior to our vote.
Certainly. This is a contract for the IT department, as Mayor Miller said. This is for the GIS mapping that's used for the tax commissioner and tax assessor's office. They recently did a flyover. However, this is for the actual processing of that data that they accumulated to turn it into usable maps for our departments.
Also, you previously approved these funds as part of the CIP. This just comes before you because now we're actually selecting the vendor that we're going to contract with for this purpose. So this has been before you before. We're just now letting you know who the vendor is and the approximate amount. So we do have a motion and second. Any further questions, Commissioner Watkins?
Yes, and I won't ask any follow-up. I'm a map geek, but could you just explain ortho mapping just in a little bit greater? He sent the email to me that kind of covered. I didn't get a chance to follow up on it, but I was just hoping for a little.
I'm not sure. Did you send that email or someone else? We'll let
I
Dr. Moffitt.
think I don't.
Dr. Moffitt can handle it.
I sent that
I
email
didn't
to
ask no
you.
follow-up here.
No, I sent an email to you yesterday. It's the data collection where they put the information in the community into layers from the GIS, and they can go back and pull those different layers out. As you notice from the tax commissioner office, engineering, tax assessor, they all have different needs to look at the community a little differently as far as property parcels, elevations. In tax assessor, they can look at the house to see where the corners are, so they can do the measurements, and they can use all that type of data.
I guess I think if I'm understanding, it started with like a drone flyover.
Correct. I don't know if
Okay.
it was a drone. It may have been an actual airplane when they flew over the community multiple times, and they can only do it a certain time of year because they had to do it when the leaves were, when the land was mostly barren, when there's not a lot of leaves and what's the
Construction.
word? Yeah. So.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Watkins. Any further questions? Hearing no further. Foliage, that's it.
It's the man
Hearing no
with the
further
answers.
questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. That motion passes unanimously to be sent to consent agenda. Item C is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with DISYS Solutions in an amount of $698,539.29 for the purchase of Cisco core switch replacement for IT department to be paid for from the Capital Improvement Fund. Again, these are items that you already approved as part of our CIP. This is now a vendor being selected. That is my motion. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Wynn. Any questions regarding this particular purchase? Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item D is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with ARS Junior, Inc., DBA All South Roofing Solutions in an amount of $105,000 for roof and seal repair replacement services at the Grand Opera House to be paid from the Capital Improvement Fund, Facilities Management Budget, and Building Improvements. That's my motion. Can I get a second? Second by Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Commissioner Wynn.
Here, a replacement on the Grand Opera House, I noticed there was a leak in the ceiling. Will that be handled in some different way to repaint that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't believe that will be part of this contract. I believe this is just for the ceiling and actual repair of the exterior
Just the
roof.
roof. I want us to look into painting the ceiling again too.
This is a roof. I'm not sure who bears the responsibility for that. That may be someone else other than Macon-Bibb County, but certainly it's something we can look at.
Okay.
Once they get the roof on, to make sure that they stopped all the leaks.
Ceiling in there is like a sky with stars, and it makes it look nice, kind of like the Fox, but not quite as fancy. And I'd like to see that back in place.
Thank you, Mr. Wynn. Mayor Pro Tem Clark.
I'd just like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Okay, I got Mayor Pro Tem Clark as a co-sponsor. Commissioner Lucas.
I wanted to ask, I know that we designated $5 million to the Grand Opera House in the last SPLOST. I know that we allocated some funds for carpet, and then we allocated some of those funds for custom-made chairs, the seating in there, and then we had to go back and redo the seating because the chairs didn't fit people quite right. So
Chairs didn't fit people. People didn't fit chairs.
well, whatever. Something was wrong. Anyway, I just wondered if there was a particular reason why this was coming out of facilities management, buildings and building improvements instead of the SPLOST, and how much of that $5 million has been spent.
I'm not sure we're prepared to give you how much is spent on SPLOST, but we have previously sent you an update on the SPLOST projects. But I'll get Ms. Moore to send a request from Mr. Murphy, another list to let you know where we're at on that particularly.
Okay, is there a reason why the $105,000 is coming directly out of a budget when there was $5 million from? From who? It just seems like that roof repair would be more important than the carpet and the chairs.
I think when they
I
allocate
don't
those
know.
funds, they allocate the funds for specific purposes, and this leak repair was an unanticipated expense, therefore it was not budgeted for in that money, but we can check on that for you.
Well, if there's $5 million, and I know a lot of it's been spent, it should come out of that SPLOST appropriation, SPLOST allocation, and not out of a department budget. It just seems to me.
Okay. Commissioner Wynn?
Co-sponsor to this to renovate and preserve our beautiful building. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wynn. Any further questions regarding this, and we'll get that information for you, Commissioner Lucas. Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item E is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Bennett Sheet Metal Works, Inc. in the amount of $345,258 to be paid from the airport fund for Middle Georgia Regional Airport for provision of hangar roof retrofit services. And someone like to make a motion in that regard? Commissioner Howell, I know you would. Anyone make a second? Okay. You'd like to sponsor and make that motion? Anyone like to make a second? Second by Commissioner Jones as well as Mr. Wilder. I know we've been waiting on this for a long time. It's been a couple of years now for this roof to be repaired, and certainly glad we were able to get it through the procurement process. Any questions regarding this particular vendor, this particular award? Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item F is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a lease agreement with H2 Aero Services, LLC, for the lease of 2 former Air National Guard buildings at the Middle Georgia Regional Airport. That's my motion. Can I get a second? Got a second by Commissioner Howell. Any questions regarding this particular item? Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Thank you, Ms. Tarpley, for being here tonight. We're going to move on to item G, which is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Peed Brothers, Inc. in an amount of $472,780.90 to be paid from grants funds, airport perimeter fencing, property construction contracts line item for the construction of installation of perimeter fence at the Macon Downtown Airport, as you can see pictured there. That is my motion. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Wynn. I think this is self-explanatory, but if anybody has any questions, this is for the downtown airport. Now would be the time to ask them. Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item 7A is a grant acceptance, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of United States Tennis Association Southern Parks and Recreation Grant in an amount of $2,000 with no local match to be used for Macon-Bibb County Parks and Recreation Department at the Randy Stevens Tennis Center. I get a motion for approval? A motion by Commissioner Lynn, second by Commissioner Jones. Any questions about this no match? Commissioner Jones.
Yes, sir, not a question, but, and I meant to bring this up to Dr. Moffitt many months ago, but didn't we receive a $20,000 check from USTA that, remember, Jamie Kaplan brought to us? If we resurfaced those courts, we were going to get it, and I think that was received.
I would have to check.
20 or
30.
30.
I remember the conversation, but I don't remember if funds were received. I do remember the conversation though, but I will check and verify
If you could
that.
check and let us know, that'd be good for everybody to know that
Yes,
it
sir.
came through just as we hoped it would.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones. Any further questions regarding this item? Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda tonight. Item 7B is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a grant from the People's Advocacy Group in an amount of $25,000 with no local match to be used from Macon-Bibb County for the purposes of funding travel to and participation of the 2022 GARE Annual Membership Conference. That is the Government Alliance for Race and Equality, and that is sponsored by Commissioner Virgil Watkins. Commissioner Watkins, would you like to make that motion? Got a motion by Commissioner Watkins. Can we have a second? Second by Commissioner Lucas, and Commissioner Watkins, I'll let you expound on that.
All right. Again, a couple months ago, we agreed to join the Government Alliance on Racial Equity. Their annual membership conference is upcoming April 21st through the end of April, making an opportunity available to all of us and including any department heads that would like to attend that conference. We gotta receive a sub-grant to cover the cost of any, like I say, of our governmental executive branch or legislative branch leaders, which would be us and department heads.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. We previously got a $5,000 grant through that same procedure through Commissioner Watkins that we accepted on a previous occasion. That was for the membership, and this is for the items listed above. So we do have a motion and a second. Commissioner Wynn, do you have a question?
Where is the conference?
Portland, Oregon.
Wow, okay. You sure you want to go there? I'm not sure how safe it is.
And that's April 21st, is that correct? Okay. Thank you for that. Commissioner Watkins, you have a follow-up?
I
I
yield.
saw you. Okay, thank you. We do have a motion and a second. There's no further questions. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda tonight. We're going to move on to item 8A, which is a dedication of tennis courts. This is an ordinance to dedicate tennis courts at Mattie Hubbard Jones Park in memory of Miss Naomi Johnson's contributions to the Pleasant Hill community, appropriation of an amount not to exceed $500 from the general fund balance to Facilities Management Department for the purchase of material and memorial signage. Sponsored by Commissioner Watkins, Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Would you like to make a motion and second on that? Got a motion by Commissioner Watkins, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Would you like to say anything in those regards? Commissioner Watkins?
So, I guess Ms. Johnson was a stalwart in the Pleasant Hill community. Educator, spent a lot of time working on food nutrition. Created right now it's still a garden in not Linwood, excuse me, Jefferson Lawn Park that she was the founder along with her and Mr. Givens. During the Pleasant Hill mitigation processes, when I really got to know her, she attended every meeting and showed up for that Pleasant Hill community on a daily basis. deep into her retirement. And I was always just really impressed. And a lot of times folks like that don't get enough credit. Showing up, attending, being present, figuring out what's going on, and getting through a federal I-16, I-75 mitigation is not an easy thing. And those citizens in Pleasant Hill were able to pull that off, and we're seeing the community turn around with the community organization at the helm of it. Something for our community to be proud of. During COVID, Ms. Naomi passed away, and this is a way to kind of recognize her contributions and that community.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. Mayor Pro Tem Clark.
Yeah, I wanted to echo Virgil's sentiment, and when I saw her name come across our docket on board docs, I sat down and wrote some words. I really admired her, and I just wanted to read them while before we move on. I first met Miss Naomi when I was 17 or 18. I don't remember when. I met her through Professor Randy Harshbarger at Mercer University. He was a mentor of mine when I was young and still is, and as such, you did two things if he mentored you. You did a Linwood cleanup, and you went and dug in the community gardens in what is now Jefferson Long Park with his dear friend, Naomi Johnson. At the very sight of them together, I could tell they had a friendship forged in a sense of a place and a sense of service to a community that had done right by them. And I was immediately taken by her. And just like everyone who she came to meet, I felt as if she was taken by me. I was deeply taken by her ability to tell a story. The crisp, tedious recollection of the history of Pleasant Hill rolled off her tongue. She could vividly enumerate names and faces of elders who had long passed before I was born. People who, like her, shaped this community. And as she told those stories, you could hear their voices. You came to know them and their love of their street, their church, their community, almost as she knew them. As time went on, I was able to develop a relationship that I deeply valued with Miss Naomi. And like the hundreds of her students, her family, her friends, it shaped my understanding of community and more so my sense of right and wrong, of justice and injustice. Miss Naomi's stories weren't told simply to scratch the itch of nostalgia, at least not the ones she told me. She told them because they taught you something. Her stories of her friends, her students, her family, and fellow Pleasant Hill elders had a point, every one of them. When she was done telling you a story of a person she attended Ballard Hudson with, you understood two things: the character of that person and the adversity they overcame in order to shape this community in the image of a justice-hungry God. Her stories were about deep wrongs being righted by justice-hungry people whose lives, like hers, were a testament to looking societal ills in the face and working daily to correct the evils that created unfairness and injustice. Whether she was digging in her beloved gardens or at City Hall advocating for fairness, it was my experience that those stories carried the moment. I, like so many people from so many generations, learned a great deal from those stories. And for the past year, I've missed them greatly. I will miss them and cannot wait to hear them again on the other side. To Mr. Peter, and to Miss Naomi's family, may God's healing continue to comfort you. And to her friends, students, and neighbors, may you live a life of impact and intention that would have earned a place in the lexicon of Miss Naomi's justice-filled storybook. She sure did. She lived that life. And while we have a long way to go, Pleasant Hill, Macon, and our community at large is more fair and good because of the ground that she tilled. And it is the least we can do for the debt that we owe her for what she's done for this community to name these tennis courts in a park that she advocated to be renovated for quite some time after her. Thank you for your time and indulging that.
Pro Tem Clark, Commissioner Lucas.
Yes, I wholeheartedly endorse that, Ms. Naomi. I remember first meeting her way back under the Ellis administration when we started the Linwood Group to renovate historic Linwood Cemetery, and she was a part of it then. And everything that was positive going forward, she was a part of it. And the information that she knew, the history that she knew, I certainly hope that somebody recorded her talking about those various things that happened over the years, because if they didn't, then we've lost we've lost that history. So I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas Wedge, as a co-sponsor. We do have a motion and second. If no further questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously, be sent to the consent agenda tonight. We've already handled organizational change item 9A with the sheriff earlier today. Going to move on to item B. Appreciate you waiting very patiently. We have item 9B, which is an ordinance to amend the Macon-Bibb County Budget and Strategic Planning Office organizational chart for purpose of adding a new MVP coordinator position to provide funding from previously appropriated funds to pay for costs associated with said position. If you know, we previously posted this position. We sent you a copy of what we require of that coordinator. RFP process was held at that time, of which several applicants submitted their information. Internally, we had 3 staff members review those items and were sent to me with their evaluation as well as procurement. And I have selected Mr. If you mind, come forward, please. Jeremy Grissom with us today, and I offer him as your next MVP coordinator. At this time, he is presently employed at the Macon-Bibb County District Attorney's Office. Assuming that you accept it tonight and we vote for it tonight at the commission meeting at 6 o'clock, he will complete his tenure there in the next 2 weeks and will begin to work for our office. His duties and responsibility would be coordinating all the MVP activities we have, included but not limited to all the violence interrupters, our entire leadership team of approximately 30 people that he would meet on a quarterly basis. And he'll also be working with each and every one of those groups that we met during the many forums that we had across our community. So at this time, I make a recommendation that we accept Mr. Marquise Grissom. I'm sorry, Marquise Grissom. Think about baseball right now. He's gonna vote on Marquise over here. Mr. Jeremy Grissom. Marquise Grissom is a friend of mine. Jeremy Grissom for the office of MVP coordinator, and I'll entertain a second. Got a second by Commissioner Tillman. Any discussion regarding this item? Commissioner Lucas, you?
Yeah, I'd certainly like to hear what he has to say about his philosophy on this particular, this whole area of violence prevention and youth.
Well, I'd first like to thank you all for allowing me to come present. I want to also just talk about.
Is this microphone on? Because I'm having a hard time.
Can you hear me? Good to go. So I also like to talk about my prior experience here in Macon. Initially in 2015, myself along with 4 of my other friends started I Am King Foundation Incorporated, where I was the on the founding board as a treasurer. And back then we saw the need. I was currently a probation officer at the time, and knowing the history of a lot of those on probation, as well as how far-reaching the outcome of incarceration and probation went as it relates to unemployment, homelessness, and things of that nature, we saw that it was a need then. But instead of just saying that because we all knew it, we decided to do something. So at that time, we started to put our own funds together to build that, and we knew that there was a need. And in my current role now, I see that there's a need, a great need. And having worked for the State Water Pardons and Paroles, Department of Correction, DCS, I've seen it on every level, and how our youth are affected, and the lack of services, and how that can increase their aptitude to commit violent acts or be in bad company and do risky things. So to be able to collaborate the effort to make sure that all of the services are known, where they are, track the data, so that nobody in the community won't have access to where to go, how to find out what MVP programs are available, and just having a knowledge of, some of the organizations that are currently operating. I think that I could do this position a great service.
Mr. Wynn, do you have a follow-up?
Commissioner Lucas beat me to the question, but I just want to say this. You sound qualified. I am obviously in this community is hoping that you have great success with what you do.
I think she meant that in the best way. So I appreciate it. I definitely know that he's qualified. He is my selection for this position. I look forward to working with him. I think he brings a lot with the various experiences that he had in our community, and in particular, one of the initiatives that we're going to support in the MVP program is the RISE initiative that he's well familiar with the DA's office. And I think that he will be the person responsible for vetting out and forming the committee that will make sure that everyone that applies for those community foundation grants is within the strategic plan that this leadership group has set out, and he would forward that information over to the community foundation, within that return use their mechanism to select those grants that we expect to happen in the near future. So at this time, we have a motion and second. If there's no further discussion regarding this particular appointment, I'd like to take a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously. Be sent to the consent agenda, and thank you for being here again tonight.
Thank you.
Item 10A is a ordinance in the authorize the appropriation of $4 million, up to $4 million, from the 2008 SPLOST proceeds, 2022 courthouse addition, courthouse line item, for the payment of costs related to the construction of additional courtroom space at the Macon Mall. This will include at least 2 courtrooms. It'll also include jury rooms, 2 jury rooms, and everything that goes with that, including judge's office. This will be used not only by all the court personnel, it also can be used by other departments, as in the ADR department, trying numerous cases there on the civil nature or personal injury, and other cases to eliminate the backlog we have in cases, but also things like planning and zoning and other meetings can be held there, as well as moot court and things of those in our school area, particularly the law school academy there at Southwest and other ones surrounding there. The money being used for this is monies that you've already set aside in the previous SPLOST, the 2018 SPLOST, 4 courtrooms, and this is where we're using the money and the items here. Commissioner Watkins? Yes, sir.
And I wasn't trying to cut you off if you weren't.
No, go ahead. I saw you like them.
I guess I was trying to get a better sense of what's happening. I know, I guess in 2018, we originally passed the SPLOST. We had probably $30 million allocated towards the creation of a new courthouse building, and I know right now, I guess we have municipal court in that building, state court in that building, magistrate, and is the overall goal are we moving all of those courts into the mall?
No, sir.
And this is the first phase of that, or what's
No,
happening?
sir. The courthouse will remain where it's at now. We have no plans to move the courthouse to the mall. During the heat of the pandemic, we were approached by the Superior Court judges because of the substantial issues we had with trying cases. Number one, in a area where we could actually spread jurors out and personnel out. It became obvious that we couldn't do that in the current condition, and it put us on many months waits for cases to go to trial or cases to be handled over there, which also creates a backlog at the jail and other places. We are not got to the point now where it's a substantial part of the money for the courthouse that's allocated in the spot to be done, and it didn't require a new courthouse to be built either. It required some additional modifications to that courthouse. As you know, we've already used the money for the Juvenile Justice Center. There's been modifications made on several of the floors at the courthouse, and we've been constantly searching for parking in the area to meet the obligation there for parking. So those things are still on the horizons. Nothing's changed regarding that. But this will allow us to have, we have some judges that are senior judges that the state has provided funding for, that we can use these locations here to make sure that lightens the load that we have over there with the courthouse now, so we can move through cases in a more efficient manner. This also allows us to use the facility there at the mall for other things like alternative dispute resolution that can be used on a private basis. It would allow potential space for the planning and zoning to meet, to hold their meetings as well. And like I said, this is no new money. This is money that was obligated during the 2018 SPLOST for additional courtrooms and remodeling of any courthouse. So nothing's changed in that regard. We just haven't got to the large portion of that in the timeline. Yes, sir. And this was a request of Judge Howard Sims.
And I guess just like the item before it, like at the Grand Opera House, there was a plan that someone, I don't know it exactly, but someone thought that whatever courthouse addition on the paper, in order to build it back in 2018, it was going to be worth $30-ish million. So, and I know it seems as though those dollars were going to be accessed in the 25, 26 year according to the timeline. It looks like we're taking 3 or 4 million and moving that up a few years. So it's what is to become of, I guess, I'm asking what is the ultimate goal, and I got a little lost in your answer then. What is the ultimate goal when it comes to the courthouse? Will the mall and this 4 million satisfy the additional courthouse and the $26, or are we still planning on building a, I guess, $25 million facility downtown, and the mall is a satellite, I'm thinking?
I think the mall will satisfy the current needs right now for additional space. Now, this is a request made by the judges. First of all, this is something that Judge Howard Sims approached us about and felt like we needed a need for that. So that's the first step. The courthouse that was previously done, there's money appropriated for that. There may not be a need to have such a quite grandiose courthouse, because it involved a lot of working around the Opera House and the DA's office and all that in such a manner that it became way too cost prohibitive to do so. The money that you appropriated was probably not even going to take care of that amount that you looked at there. I think this will relieve the pressure from having to make a lot of those changes, because you won't need as much space now. Futuristic, you possibly could at some later point decide that you need to build another jail, of which you can have a courtroom or two there and there's also a courtroom, the state court area there that could refurbish for a lesser amount of money to alleviate some of the need to build a brand new courthouse. All those things in consideration, and certainly I don't want to have a long conversation regarding this, because there may be other properties that we try to acquire, and I certainly don't want people to run it up thinking we may move the courthouse somewhere. But everything's still in play. This is our chance just to meet the needs of the courts, to how to create the backlog problems we have there, and also to look for a way that we can not spend quite as much money on a potential courthouse when we get down to the end of our SPLOST money as you once thought you may need.
Okay, all right. How many square feet are the space in the mall?
The 2 courtrooms with the security, the jury rooms, the restrooms, the waiting rooms, the drop-off area there, I believe is approximately 30,000 square feet, give or take.
Okay. And
it would be the only place in the height of a pandemic that you could actually spread out and do the things that you're needed to do that the courts are starting to request now anyway.
And I guess what percentage of courthouse activity you think will happen at the mall versus?
I think this would be very limited security would be needed for this. This could be some of your alternative dispute resolution cases. It could be your child support cases. It could be personal injury, workers' comp cases. It could be some probation violations and things of that nature. It's mainly to allow the judges that are being paid by the state funds that are retired to come in and use multiple areas at the same time, while our courts continue to use the downtown courthouse to do a lot of these things that we could do at an alternate location. But it's the only place that we could find that would meet the specs that's required. I don't know about the percentage. I'd hate to do a guess like that, but I'd say probably it would decrease their responsibilities over there by about 20%.
Okay, and I think I heard you right. Like the major felonies and stuff would still happen at the courthouse.
Yes, of course.
This would
Yeah,
be
right.
Other stuff.
Right.
Okay.
It still happened where business as usual down there, but we wanted to make sure we included the sheriff, and the sheriff was part of this process. We did a site visit out there with the sheriff, all the security personnel, all the technology you would need. But this is going to be a multi-use of this particular building with several of our departments, with moot courts, with ADR. But it will give us the tool that we need to help save taxpayer dollars as far as building a courthouse that's probably too big for our needs in the current location.
And is there a site plan or something you could share? Because it's hard to like I'm hearing it and it's interesting, but a physical piece of paper would help me a little bit. But
Dr. Moff, are you aware if we have any? I know where's Alice? Do you have any of the site plans there yet on that? Just existing before the walls and everything. Yeah, I know.
Let's work on that. I don't want to take up time.
Okay.
But let's work on.
I know. RFP
physical.
was done, and a builder was selected on that already. Yeah, and we can get you those plans.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wynn. Did you have a question?
wanted a little follow-up because I think we're committed to the Macon Mall project, and I think this may be a good use of some of the space out there, the big space that we have, and it gives us a great amount of parking, adequate parking we don't have currently downtown. And I'm assuming that these courts that will be moved there will be permanently moved there. Is that the intention?
They're courtroom structures, so you're not moving a particular court there.
But
Your
the
state court could use it, your municipal court could use it, all the courts will be able to use this facilities. But yeah, it will be a permanent location for there. That's why we're spending this money here to not build a whole new item. To build this particular item, you would spend a lot more money. But it allows for multiple uses, including several of those departments that we mentioned that we'd like to move to the mall.
For the benefit of the public that might be watching this meeting, what part of the mall are you considering?
This will be the lower part of what used to be the Sears near the outdoor exit.
Okay.
It would be right next to the interior. You'll see would be the Board of Elections we would expect to be, and on top of that would be where Burlington and Old Times is currently at.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Lucas?
I certainly like the creativity that this means for that whole mall area, that it just is serving a lot of purposes for right now. I like that. My question has to do with whether this jeopardizes what the people voted for in the SPLOST. If the 4 million, and I see you shaking your head, so I'm glad to see that that's the answer, but my whole question is, does this jeopardize in any way what the citizens voted for when they approved the SPLOST? Because if significant amounts of money are removed, then does that in any way jeopardize what citizens voted for? Because there were specific things.
Right.
So
I think to answer your question as accurate as I can without my lawyer hat being placed on me, the citizens, what the citizens voted for is something that will be carried out. In my opinion, you could already check that box and say everything that was promised in that 2018 SPLOST related to the courthouse after this would be complete. However, there's still need to have the additional space there downtown for the courthouse and other departments there based on the condition of some of the parts of that building. So we're not going to sacrifice what the taxpayers and the voters chose here, but at some point in time you can allocate funds and then say that it's been substantially completed. The main issue with that courthouse was security. That's been addressed to some extent. Additional courtroom space that's been addressed with this move as well as others. Separating juveniles out of the equation, that has been separated already, and you can check that box. Parking was the other, and of course you may realize we've been working on that for a while and believe that we have a solution for that. We've also recently purchased behind the courthouse that space there, the old IBM building that you approved out of these funds as well to help coordinate some of these offices that we have that kind of consolidate our footprint in downtown Macon with governmental offices are at. So certainly I think that the taxpayers get more than their money's worth out of the way we're doing this. I think we're being more efficient with the dollars, and I think the money that was set aside, if you wanted to do that project in today's environment, you wouldn't be able to do it anyway. So we're going to be able to accomplish all the goals and what they supported and voted on without cutting.
Okay, go back, say that again now. All the things that were voted on as far as the courthouse, the new courthouse, we wouldn't be able to do that?
Everything that was required in the SPLOST that were voted on by the taxpayers, specifically mentioned in the SPLOST, will be accomplished with the funds that we have. It did not require a new courthouse, by the way. So that we have the sufficient funds to do that, and we will have sufficient funds to do that. We believe by doing this particular effort here and the other things that we've done, then the need for a overly expensive courthouse is no longer necessary, which will allow us to complete the projects that we have within budget.
Okay, you're saying overly expensive. That's kind of subjective until I see some numbers. So I'm like Commissioner Watkins. Whatever else you've come up with, if there's some other things that we need to see that answers some of these questions,
We'll be happy to share. We're going to have that SPLOST meeting after other things line up. This was, just want to remind everybody, this was a request made by the courts to meet pandemic needs, to meet their needs from a courthouse perspective. And certainly we can't move up millions of dollars that's 4 or 5 years in our timeline, substantial money like the $25 million without having some debt service that would come out of our general fund or other SPOS funds would get diminished. So I think this is the appropriate use of this taxpayer money. We'll get you the design and build from the architect that did that so you can see that. We'll also be taking a site visit in the very near future, not only there, but the Board of Elections after Mr. Dunwoody gets with all the departments to look at the area that we've suggested for their offices. Okay?
Okay, I look forward to
Yes, ma'am.
seeing all that.
Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item 10B is the follow-up to that. It's just the 34th Amendment to the 2018 SPOS project timeline as presented by the SPOS project manager. That's moving the money forward to meet this need here. And that's my motion. Can I get a second? Got a second by Commissioner Howell. Any question regarding that, Commissioner Watkins?
I know that 3.5 is moving up, but I know normally something moves back to keep the budget balance. What was that?
I'm not aware of anything moving back at all. Yeah, we're not swapping anything out. We're just moving this up. Say we were going to spend it in a certain amount of years. Our collections are ahead of time. We're moving it up in the timeline.
'Cause I know old rules of the SPOS was to keep the budget balanced. If you moved money up, you had to move something back.
We've collected, our collection rate is higher, so we're able to have cash on hand that we can move up.
I think early along in your timeline, you're just collecting monies and you've already borrowed some money that you're paying debt service on. As you get deeper into the SPOS, our numbers have certainly gone up on our collections, and we have retained a lot of money in our
And
SPOS.
every month on page 3, I give you the collection amounts each month.
Although I hear you, I feel like y'all was just telling me that so I couldn't do stuff. But let's go ahead on. Let's go ahead on.
Anything else, Commissioner Watkins? Thank you. Thank you. All right. We do have a motion and a second, and now it's time to take a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item 11A is a ordinance amending Chapter 11, 21, and 23 in the code to reflect Macon Water Authority's status as a local issuing authority and to ensure compliance with Georgia Environmental Protection Division standards. Please don't complicate this. But that is my motion. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Howell. Anyone have any questions for our attorney who's standing before you? Hearing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item 12A has already been handled with the sheriff just a little while earlier. We do have a need to go into executive session. The time is now 5:30. We should be out right before our commission meeting at 6 o'clock, but this time I entertain a motion to go into executive session with the county attorney and other legal counsel to discuss pending or potential litigation, settlement claims, and all of those law by law. Can I get a motion to go into executive session? So moved by Commissioner Pro Tem Clark. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. We also have one item on the agenda, 14A, that we'll discuss once we get out. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, nay. We're now in executive session. I think we did it twice. Can I get a motion to come out of executive session? A motion by Mayor Pro Tem McCark, second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. We're now in the next session. We're gonna move directly into, item 14. Item 14 concerns a development agreement and reads as follows. A resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a preliminary development agreement with the Macon-Bibb County Urban Development Authority and Gateway 75 LLC Item 14A is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a preliminary development agreement with the Macon-Bibb County Urban Development Authority and Gateway 75 LLC to provide for the initial planning and development of a mixed-use retail, multifamily residential development with a parking deck. As you can see pictured there. I'm not sure if we have any other additional pictures there, but if you do, please show those on the screen. As you may recall, over the last couple of years, there have been some plans for the additional parking behind the Macon-Bibb County City Hall and Macon City Hall. And the development now has gotten to a stage where there's been a process, an RFP and procurement, and a time for a vendor selection. What are we showing you on the screen is the potential drawings of an expansion development agreement right behind the City Hall that we would bring back for you at a later time with a contract, pricing, and any other additional needs to be met. All we're doing tonight is voting on the vendor that will be selected, and that is the information contained in your resolution. So this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve item 14A. Got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clark, second by Commissioner Mallory Jones. Any discussion regarding this item? I know we have our Urban Development Authority representative and Bibb County employee Alex Morrison here with us to answer any questions. He's previously provided these pictures to us, and we'll be revisiting him at a later time with additional information on this. Having no questions, seeing no questions, I call for a vote. All those in favor of item 14A, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries, will be sent to consent agenda at 6 o'clock tonight. This meeting is hereby adjourned until 6 o'clock as our regular scheduled meeting. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Macon-Bibb County Commission meeting. Today is Tuesday, April the 5th, and the time is now 6 o'clock. I'd like to welcome everyone here and call this meeting to order. We'll begin our meeting like we always do with a prayer. This time I ask Dr. Reverend Henry Ficken to lead us in the prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
May we bow. Infinite Heavenly Father, who knows our frame and remembers our frailties, we bring to you the record of our stewardship of public service. We thank you for the faith that strengthened us to meet difficulties, for the convictions that gave us steadiness of purpose, for the memories that inspired us to take the upward path, and for all those influences that invited us to choose goodness, truth, and beauty. With contrition, we acknowledge our failures. We confess our selfish disregard for the rights of others, our turning aside from opportunities of unselfishness, our crushing underfoot of high ideals, all our sins of slothfulness and neglect. For the harm we have done and the good we have failed to do, we beg your forgiveness. Look now with mercy upon these men and women chosen to lead us. Preserve them from complacency and grant them strength in the days and moments ahead to follow more closely the example of the Master who went about doing good. Deliver them from fears, strengthen them when they are afraid of falling. Upon them by your strong hand uphold. Teach them to look to the hills from which cometh their help, so that their confidence may be renewed. Let your presence attend to these leaders of our democratic order of government in all their ways. Lead each one of these elected individuals for our good by your Spirit. Prosper Macon-Bibb County in our going out and our coming in, and grant us all the grace to render a good account of stewardship of life. Bring peace to war-torn areas of the world. We ask in the name of our Master, Jesus Christ. Amen. Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm not aware of any announcements we have tonight. We'll move right into the approval of the minutes. This is item 5A, approval of minutes from the March 15th, 2022 regular commission meeting. Can I get a motion to approve? Got a motion by Commissioner Howell, second by Commissioner Tillman. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. We'll move on to presentations. Item 6A, we have a proclamation presentation declaring April Distracted Drivers Awareness Month. Someone be presenting that tonight? Okay. Commissioner Lucas, you're our default presentation leader.
Good evening. I'd like to, at this time, ask the members of the Pedestrian Safety Review Board who are present, Dr. Ficklin, Ms. Stevens, our attorney, and Ms. Mayor, after I read this, we'd like for you to come and present it to the members of the, we appreciate it. It's been a pleasure for us to serve you as members of the Pedestrian Safety Review board because it is so important, and we'd like to think that our efforts have made a difference in the community. And we'd like to thank this commission for being so supportive of all the things that we are trying to do, that we have done, and that we are trying to do to make this community safer for all of our citizens. This is a proclamation from the Office of the Mayor, Macon-Bibb County, Georgia. Whereas more than 700 injury crashes involve distracted driving on an average day, and the economic toll of all motor vehicle crashes in the United States annually exceeds $400 billion. And whereas talking on a mobile phone, even in the hands-free mode, texting, programming your dashboard, infotainment system, or GPS device can divert your attention away from driving and result in physical or cognitive distraction. And whereas Macon-Bibb residents and all Americans deserve to live in communities that promote safe driving behaviors and healthy lifestyles. And whereas preventing distracted driving injuries and deaths requires the cooperation of all levels of government, employers, and the general public. And whereas the National Safety Council, the state of Georgia, and Macon-Bibb Pedestrian Safety Review Board work to promote policies, practices, and procedures leading to increased safety, protection, and health in business and industry, in schools and colleges, on roads and highways, and in homes and communities. And whereas the National Safety Council, the state of Georgia, and the Macon-Bibb Pedestrian Safety Review Board in 2022 will provide a month-long distracted driving public education campaign. And whereas spring is a time when people begin to log more miles on the road, and it is imperative to focus attention on motor vehicle injury risk and preventions. Now, therefore, the Mayor, the Honorable Lester M. Miller, does hereby proclaim April 2022 as Distracted Driving Awareness Month in Macon-Bibb County, and he urges all citizens and strongly urges the citizens and businesses and surrounding communities to be alert and aware by practicing safe driving behaviors and pledging to drive distraction-free. In witness whereof, he has set his hand and caused the seal of Macon-Bibb's consolidated government to be affixed. And it's my honor to present this to you, Mayor, to present to the members of the Pedestrian Safety Review Board.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas, for that presentation and all the hard work for Pedestrian Safety Review Board, and we're looking forward to great things to come. We have public comments on agenda items tonight. We don't believe we received any tonight on public items on the agenda items, so we won't go with that. There's no new business tonight, but we do have some old business to take care of. Item 9A is a final denial for alcohol license for Dollar General. As you remember, a few weeks ago, we came before you with a request from the Dollar General to sell beer and wine. That request was denied for good legal reasons by this commission. A letter was sent out to Dollar General in a timely manner. Dollar General chose not to file a request for appeal on that. Therefore, we bring this item back to you for final consideration tonight for denial. So this time, I'd entertain a motion for the final denial for alcohol license for Dollar General. Got a motion by several people. Mayor Pro Tem Clark, and a second by someone on my left side. Who was that? Commissioner Howell. We have a motion and a second to approve that denial. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Thank you very much. Going to move on to items on the consent item that was previously approved unanimously by this commission just a short while ago. All that information has been publicized on our agenda with all the documents attached and been fully discussed in our previous commission. At this time, I entertain a motion for approval of consent items, items 10A through 10Y in blank. Got a motion by Commissioner Jones. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Wilder. Any discussion regarding those items? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. I do believe we've reached the end of our agenda items tonight. I do want to let you know that in preparation for our meeting for next Tuesday, that will be a day meeting. We do expect to have 2 or 3 presentations that morning, along with other items on the agenda. So we may have a little lengthy, some presentations that morning, but we'll give you an update on that by this Friday. So if there's no further business that brings us there today and no point of personal privileges, this meeting is hereby adjourned.